Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Enough to Keep Going podcast. This is episode number 130, and we're doing our GX show for the week of February 13th, 2020. What is it? 8:28. We were having some technical difficulties as usual, so finally got something sorted out. So I kind of just say I'm gonna go on a tangent already before I even introduce anybody and say, OBS, get your stuff together, please. Having some troubles here with OBS, but we got some things figured out finally, and hopefully this recording is going to go well. With me tonight, we have Mr. Swiss Guard. Swiss, how are you?
Doing well. It's the E2KG Beardsman episode.
That's right. The Bearded Brothers are here. We have DB, actually, I think was supposed to be on, and he had to switch with Swiss. He had some other things going on, and then Gascles had the night off. So I think we have... No, I don't think we have everybody back next week, I don't think. But we'll have our deep dive next week. But for now, we're going to talk games and more games. So first up, we'll do our picks plays. Well, kind of. We're gonna kind of mix this around here a little bit. We're gonna have a discussion on a game let's see, it was Swiss, myself, and DBQ had played. But first, picks plays from a few weeks ago. Actually, maybe even a month ago. It's been a while.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Go ahead.
I was wondering if you guys had already reported out with yours, but I haven't had a chance to report out on this assignment. So
yeah, so we'll get your see what you played here. It was our 2010 pick a game from that year and play it. Actually, I think it was the Gasicles and DB that did that one, because I actually had played a little bit of was it Crackdown 3, I think, but I didn't get a chance to report out. I think I was sick or something happened and I couldn't make that show. But we'll get your report out. What were you playing back in the year 2010?
Oh, I don't even remember. So basically what I chose to do is hit my backlog for a game from that time. And even though like you're kind of Xbox Nintendo guy and I'm kind of PC PlayStation Nintendo guy. So even though I've had a PlayStation for, a couple of decades now, which sounds scary to say, I had never played any of the Uncharted series. So I took this opportunity to play Uncharted Drake's Fortune. I think it's not quite 2010, but it's that general time area. And I didn't actually play the PS3 version. I did play the PS4 remaster that Blue Point did, and but they didn't reinvent the game. It just has a really fresh coat of paint. So that's kind of what I chose to do. A while back, I had played the original God of War, which is like PS2 era, before I played the new PS4 God of War. So, and I kind of got some, even though God of War is PS2 era, I still got some of the same kind of vibes, which is the very first thing that hits me that's changed over time is just the straight up the level design. And it was obviously worse with God of War, because Uncharted was a PS3 era game. But nowadays games are much more open. I mean, we have the open world games, but just in general, it's open. You feel a much more of a sense of space. And I guess back then, we didn't notice it, but going from modern games now to playing a game from 10, 12 years ago, I do notice that the levels just feel generally more constrictive and confined. So that was kind of the big thing. The controls are a little bit clunky, but I think that's just Uncharted. I seem to remember playing a little bit of Uncharted 4, probably just the multiplayer with the Gascles once for a Pix Plays assignment or something. And I think it was similar. And but yeah, this is the first time I've really done a campaign. So the level design, it was good. It was nice. It was cool. Like, going through the jungle and finding like a German U-boat and stuff. Like, that's neat. But I'm not roaming around. It's just I'm kind of funneled, and I noticed that.
So it's pretty linear, as far as.
Yeah.
Or are there some like kind of bigger areas that you kind of wander?
Nah, if there are, I haven't really got to them yet. It's pretty much a track.
Yeah.
And part of that might be the game design. Part of that might be the era. I think it's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
The menus they just seem super like utilitarian, and I don't know why it just pops out to my head, but it's just like, I think we have flashier menus now. I don't know. It was just like, hit the button, the menu, and it's just very like, yeah, we have this menu screen. I don't know why I noticed
no
that.
bells and whistles in it.
Nah, it's just
kind of
very,
plain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, the voice acting was good. I mean, the voice acting was excellent. The story's pretty cool, and I like the characters. Like, I like the game. I'm gonna keep playing it and probably try to move on through. I kind of consider this right now. DB mentioned earlier today in the Discord chat how there hasn't been a lot of new releases lately, and with the the upcoming Xbox and PS5 releases, it's kind of going to be a winding down year. So I've kind of already dubbed this the year of the backlog. So part of it's going to be some of these Uncharted games, because I don't get the sense that it's very long. I haven't beaten it yet, but I played for like 2 hours, and then I looked at it and it's like, 20% of the game complete. I'm like, oh, that's a significant amount for like, a couple hours of gameplay. So yeah, I'm glad I played it. I don't feel like it was bad, or like, wow, games sucked back then. It's nothing like that. It's just, you can really tell that game designers have been able to take advantage of the advances in computing power. That's what it boils down to for me.
Okay.
All right. So
I was gonna ask you about the gameplay. Did you want to, like, was it kind of like tanky controls, or are they pretty like loose?
Well, I don't know. It's just like, it's the over-the-shoulder thing. And so it's like, when you have like a shooter, but it's over the shoulder, it's always a little bit odd for me. I prefer like a first-person perspective.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that's kind of where it was a little bit janky. It's like, and they just felt a little heavy and slow a little bit. So I guess you can describe it as kind of tanky. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you play any of the rebooted Tomb Raiders?
No, I've actually never played a Tomb Raider game either.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of weird.
Well, maybe that could be one of your games for the upcoming Pix Plays that we'll talk about later. We'll talk about that later. This was the first one, right? The first game in the series?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's what I figured. Because I don't think they were never really numbered, were they? Or I guess they did have Uncharted 2 and 3 in the time.
Yeah, after this they started. They all had their unique titles and everything, but 2 and 3 I think were all on PS3, and then PS4 had the A Thief's End, and I think there was some spin-off game, but I've never been a fan of the series yet, so I haven't really paid that close attention.
All right. So that's good. And I said before I was playing Crackdown 3. I meant the first Crackdown. Crackdown 3 wasn't, although kind of the same game, Crackdown 3 with the original Crackdown. But for that Pix Plays, but I made a little mistake there. So if we want to jump into our Scythe discussion, I think, or actually, I shouldn't say I think you brought this one up, right? For our kind of, I don't know if this is going to be a series at some point, but or maybe like just something we kind of do every once in a while.
Well,
But we kind of try to play together, at
yeah,
least one. Yeah,
I hope that it becomes one of our picks plays, like a rotation in the picks plays kind of thing, um, where rather than picking a theme, we literally get the same game and we get together to play it. Um, so this was a very kind of a departure. Scythe is a tabletop game. It's like this kind of alternate reality World War One post, like, steampunk thing, and very popular board game. And so we tried to play the digital version together, and yeah. So I think you and DB had neither of you had ever played the game, period, and I'd
no,
played the tabletop version a handful of times. So we were all relatively new at it, but at least I knew the rules. And so from my perspective going in, I was much more interested in seeing like how the transition from the tabletop, which I enjoy, to the digital would work out. And for the most part, I felt like I kind of felt there would be something lost, but as a social aspect. But I was like, oh well, at least it's gonna do all the calculations for us and whatnot. We don't have to worry about distributing the coins after turns or whatever. It would handle that for us. But in the game, you have your little player cards in front of you, and there are pieces on the cards. So little cubes or little men icon, little men, and they don't really have that in the game. They have it's kind of like the player card, but it's not as in. I felt like a physical card was much more intuitive. There was stuff, for example, like when you do an upgrade in the game, in Scythe you have a set of top row actions that you can do, and a set of bottom row actions that you can do. So when you choose the upgrade action, you basically make a top row action provide additional benefits by removing like this blocker cube. So literally in the physical game, there's a little cube sitting over one of your rewards. You pick that up and it reveals the extra reward you will get for doing that top row action in the future. You move it and there's a little slot in the bottom to cover up, and it therefore making one of the bottom row actions cheaper to do. So it's like that revealing on the top and covering on the bottom makes it much more explicit what you're actually doing. And in the digital version of the game, like, that was lost on everybody. Like, I mean, I was like, how do I do this upgrade? And then a certain series of clicks to actually make it happen. And then I had a background of like what I was actually trying to accomplish. You guys didn't even have that. So it was a little bit I didn't expect like physical player pieces to actually enhance the experience as much as it seems to have. That's like the big takeaway for me. And then other little things, like I wanted to, in the game you have these like mechs. You're going to get up to 4 mechs, and there's a little bit that you can do with combat in them, but mostly they're good for picking up your workers and moving them around the map at a faster clip. And I moved my mech, and I'm like, oh darn, I meant to carry that worker with it. But in the digital version of the game, it's like, sorry, you've already made your move. You're out of luck. And in the tabletop, I could have said, oh rats, I meant to do that, and then they were like, oh yeah, okay, go ahead and move the guy. Like, it's a little bit more casual in that respect.
No backseas in the digital version.
Yeah,
the hardcore.
So those are the two things I noticed, and just even the display of the score, I prefer the tabletop version. And while it seems like there's a little bit more information like visible at your fingertips in the digital, it was like just the way they organized it. So there was something lost in translation there, but the game was still fun. I still enjoyed my time. I still want to play it some more at some point. But yeah, I think that you're never really going to be able to replicate a tabletop experience through the computer.
Yeah.
But
Yes, this was my first time. I was like, I'm just glad you had the basics down because I was I was totally lost in this game. But it was fun. I mean, this is one kind of like Civilization 6 on the Switch, at least for me. And I'm playing. I want to kind of start over and just because I that game too. I just wasn't used to that kind of gameplay, and there's just so much kind of going on in that game that I was just like, oh man, finally I figured it out. Like once I started getting going, and this was the same thing. Like and obviously with your help because it was a big help that you were there. Especially with how you said it had the two levels. That kind of got confusing, especially at the beginning. And finally, near the end, I figured it out. I was like, oh, okay. I figured you have to do a certain amount of that top layer before you can even go to that second layer or second level to do those actions. And did anybody do any combat at all? I don't remember. You guys did.
I don't think we ever got to the point where we could do combat. And
I don't think I even got it back out there.
That's the other thing that was bad about the digital version. By default, it like puts a player timer on you, and it was 45 minutes. So when it's your turn, your clock starts going. Like like when you're in competitive chess, you can't just sit there and filibuster. I think that's kind of the point. But for us, where you guys were kind of just learning the game, and so I was taking a lot of time just explaining some of the rules, and for me just trying to figure out what sequence of clicks I had to do to get what I wanted to happen, that was a problem. So DB and I actually, our timers expired, and the game boots you out, so we didn't actually finish the game. And we're just getting to that end game stage where there is some combat, and we didn't have a chance to do it. So the combat in Scythe is actually kind of interesting because it's a little bit of a kind of a bluffing game, so to speak. You have a set of you have a power rating that you saw throughout the game. You can do little actions to boost your power. Sometimes actions you take reduce your power, but when you get into combat, if you have a power level of 10, you can do anywhere from 1 to set. Like your max power that you can spend on combat is 7. So if you have above 7, you can go up to 7. If you only have 3, that's the most you can do. So you can bluff. You can pick one of your power, and if you have a combat card, you can add an extra 2 or an extra 3. There's a few rare extra 5 cards in there, and it's just whoever wants to bet the most power to see who will wins the combat. So there's a little bit of a bluffing game going on, which is different than a dice roll or whatever. So it would have been I kind of wish we would have had a little bit more of a chance to do it, but for a game with so many mechs in it, I've had surprisingly few combat instances. Everybody kind of just tries to do their own thing, and then the game ends. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa, he accomplished it, and the game's over. So yeah.
Did you go back and see if you can extend that timer or take it off?
Oh, I know that you can. I was the one that hosted it, and I just left it as the default. But I could have thinking back next time, I'll double or triple it. But
okay.
If we play,
I was just wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, it's customizable.
What was it, 45 minutes? I think, right? Mm-hmm. When we played. So if you take that off, then it's just you just got to beat the other person, or the game can potentially go on forever, or.
I don't see how it could go on forever because
we got resources and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, at some point you're those goals that the way the game ends is there's a set of objectives. It's first, if you get your popularity maxed out or your power maxed out, or you win a combat, each one of those things is kind of an objective, and the first person to get 6 objectives ends the game. And then that's when you count up all your coins. So the person that ends the game might not necessarily win the game. But yeah.
Okay, I thought those are just like side things you can do.
No, the little stars. Yeah, the first person to get 6. That's how the game ends.
Oh, okay.
So, but they're not like crazy things. It's like do all your upgrades or do all your whatever they call, get all your 4 of your mechs out. That's, you know what I mean. So if you're playing, if you have to be actively trying not to win, to make sure the game goes on forever. But at that point, I don't know. You know, it's not like a thing where it's like if you're playing Risk and like, well, I'm dominating over here and you're dominating over there, and you know it's just going to be back and forth, you know, for all time. It doesn't work like that. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't even close to getting the mech out. Yeah, I know you two did. I think DB got at least 1 out.
That was the problem. DB got like 3 out, I think.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, he was starting to really push that, and then he got booted. But the problem is, I think back to the interface. Like you kept trying to do something. Like you were producing. That's the step where you can gather resources from where your workers are on the territory. So this guy gets iron, that guy gets wood, and you needed iron to build mechs, but you weren't clicking the right button. So you'd say produce, and then you have to click something again to actually collect the stuff. So I think you produced like 3 times and never got anything.
Because I think I was clicking off of it because I thought you had to click on it, and then but you had to click that little hammer or whatever, you know, whatever the symbol was, depending on what you're doing. Right. And I just didn't realize that. I was confused.
Right. So the interface left a little bit to be desired. And
there's no like little pop-up tips or anything. It just kind of had to know what you're doing.
You're just throwing in there. I can't imagine trying to play that. DB says he jumped into the tutorial mode, but I mean I really can't imagine playing that with no knowledge of the game.
Maybe it holds your hand a little bit more. I don't know. There's a tutorial.
Perhaps, but just those little things where like if you were in a group and everybody was seeing the board together and like with the physical, you know, items moving around, because I can't. Like when you weren't clicking that and collecting the resources, it wasn't apparent to me that you weren't getting the resources. Now that I think about it, I'm like, oh, I could have like scrolled over to your part of the map and seen your guys and seen that there weren't any resources there. But it wasn't something that was like completely obvious. And if we were playing on a tabletop, when you did a produce, the banker or whatever you want to call it, so to speak, would have to go in the baggie and give you the stuff. Like I mean, so.
Yeah, and I think at first you weren't scrolling, like when it changed.
I did. Turns. And then there was something that I accidentally clicked, and it was like some meta thing, and it was like showing all this random extra information on the map, and I couldn't like interpret anything, and I had to disable that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was some more interface issues than I thought there would be. But
yeah, I mean, like you said, it's probably super easy when you got everybody sitting right there. Like how, like on the like the tabletop, like how big is that board, or is it just like
it's like a good 3 feet, size? A good 3 feet by 2 feet, if you remember like a Risk size, maybe a little bigger than that, but yeah, nothing gratuitous, but it's a nice size board.
You have to play it on the floor or anything.
Yeah,
like that. It's ginormous. No, but like I said, it was actually pretty cool. I was a little intimidated at first, even before we even started playing. I was like, oh, a tabletop game. Like I've never really played those before, and you know, I never have. I should say, I never have. And I was just like, I don't know, but yeah. I mean, once we got going, it was pretty cool actually.
Yeah,
it's at least it wasn't like a static image of like the stuff too. Like you see stuff moving around. I mean, sort of. I mean, they're kind of like, you know, going like this.
Well,
you know, it's not like
they did use the artwork from the game for some of the stuff, like those encounter cards. Like there are places you go on the board, and if you're the first person a certain square or hexes, you get an encounter, and it's like one of those.
Right.
You're playing an RPG. It's like so and so wants to rob the newsstand and steal some gum. Do you let him? Like those types of little encounters, and you get rewards. But they all had the artwork that's from the regular game, and the reason why that's significant is because that like almost steampunk World War One art stuff that's mixing like mechs with like a guy riding a girl with a bear and everything, pet. The guy did all that first, and then they like, oh, this is really cool. Let's make a game in this world. So the game came after. So it would have been really disappointing if they had jettisoned all that artwork that was really the inspiration for the game in the first place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wasn't. That was the other thing I was going to ask you when we were playing. I didn't know how to do those encounters. Like I was on some of those, like the board pieces where you could do that, but I didn't know how to actually initiate it.
I thought it did it by itself at the end, but you have to make sure that you were like everybody has like a main character, like a hero, and it has to be the hero that hits the encounter, not like a worker.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that was the problem.
Yeah, because I had my guy just kind of floating around everywhere because I didn't realize what was going on.
Yeah.
At first.
So, but
so that was.
It was enough where I want to play again with you guys now that we've all kind of gotten our feet wet with it.
I want to see a Gascles play this game. I don't know if he's ever played any kind of tabletop stuff before.
I feel like he has a very what's his phrase about the like the return, like he has like a return on investment for his time, like fun return on investment, and it's like I feel like if he's in there for an hour or two struggling to grasp the concept, he's like, nope, this game is now
he's done,
exiled forever into the.
Well, we saw that with Stadia this past week.
Yeah,
so that's done for. No, but yeah, that was. I definitely want to go back and try that again, and maybe I can at least beat a bot or something.
Oh, maybe
I don't know.
Maybe it'll be another Pix Plays in a month or two. We'll come back to it.
Yeah,
it won't be the noob Scythe discussion. It will be the veteran Scythe discussion.
The veteran players.
Yeah.
So that was actually our second kind of Pix Plays where we picked a game to play together. The first one was shoot, I forgot the name of the game.
Killer Queen Black.
Killer Queen. Yeah. On the Switch. So that was actually pretty good. And this one was, I don't know if you mentioned, this one was actually on the PC.
Yeah.
I played a PC game, guys.
That's all
his, by myself,
that's all his computer can run is like a tabletop simulation.
Yeah. They had maybe like some indie game or something. Well, like Killer Queen Black, I could probably do it on the PC.
Yeah.
Should handle it. But yeah. So yeah, like you said, I hope we do more of these. Maybe like every couple months, or even if we try to do it once a month, that'd be kind of cool. So, any other points on Scythe?
I would just say check it out on the tabletop. Don't see if you can find some people to play with it. And I mean, the game's highly recommended. We didn't really get into too much talking about like how the game works because it seems like incredibly complicated when you first see it. It's very overwhelming, but like once you get the rhythm, but it's very hard I feel like it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
It's kind of resource acquisition / territory acquisition. I don't know. It's kind of a different game, but it's a lot of fun, and it's
on the tabletop side. How would you do the gathering of resources? Is there like actually pieces, or is it just like written down?
So like the oil is like literally little barrels of oil that you stick on the board.
Okay.
And so in the game, if you capture or attack somebody else, or you capture the other team's workers, if that worker had like 3 barrels of oil, those are now yours. I think I took like 5 barrels of oil from DB at one point when we were playing. But nice. Yeah, I would just say go ahead and try it out. It's a really cool game, and yeah.
Cool. Yeah, definitely we'll have to play that again. All right, let's jump into our games we've been playing the last week or so.
I feel like this is gonna be quick because none of these games are
yeah, no.
new.
No, yeah, I mean I haven't.
One is
I haven't really,
looks like.
Yeah, I haven't really played too much different other than the one I'll talk about here in a minute. But my usuals. I just want to mention Fortnite real quick, just because it's been like 2 months since the season. We're currently in the season 2, chapter 1. It's been going on since December 14th, so it's been quite a while. Because usually they change out every was it 10 weeks? I think usually 9 or 10 weeks, and this one's been going on so quite a long time. So the season's supposed to change next week on the 20th, I believe. So we'll go into, I'm assuming, chapter 2, season 2, chapter 2. Hopefully with map changes and all that goes with it, which is usually at the end of the season. Probably this weekend, maybe this weekend, we'll get some kind of event usually that happens, which is kind of like the bridging between the two seasons. So there might be like a major, like one small little map change, and then when the season actually starts, so something else will pop up or something like that, or something will change. So hopefully we'll see that. And actually, I found a Discord channel where there's a bunch of people that are playing on that. So I've been playing a lot with them the past couple weeks or so, 2 or 3 weeks. I actually joined it a while ago, but I hadn't had, just with life going on, I didn't have a chance to play with anybody until just recently. So that's been kind of cool to get an actual group of people, at least 2 to 3 people at a time that I can play with and kind of go forward with it. And it'll be kind of interesting to see too how everybody reacts once the season changes. So I think that'll be pretty fun. You're playing a much coveted game that I like.
Before I jump onto that game, I'm gonna do like my token. I'm still playing Destiny 2. Vila and I are still churning away. We signed up. We did Shadowkeep, and we did buy the season pass for this year.
Nice.
But I'm finding we're not having enough time to like do the season pass events. I'm still trying to finish up Shadowkeep, but we should be wrapping up that soon. But yeah, it's still on my list.
So what are the events? Is that just something for each season that comes out, or?
Yeah, there'll be like, I think, a really short little campaign, and then like there's usually a multiplayer type event that's going to be the season only type thing. And then you get like season special widgets and doodads and armor and yada 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 that you can build up. And I think like stuff like some of the competitive stuff, every season your rank will reset. But yeah, we're still playing that. So the game you're referring to is Rocket League, and so I recently joined a Discord server, and they have a lot of Rocket League fans on it. And I was like, well, I kind of want to start getting ingrained, so maybe I should start playing this. There aren't really any Destiny 2 players on it, but there are a lot of Rocket Leaguers, and they were playing and streaming it. So I finally broke it out, and honestly, like, I suck at it. I was doing the training and it was difficult. So just from a complete Rocket League noob, like, do you usually play where you always see the ball, or do you only just look forward?
I would say 99% of the time I'm looking at the ball.
Okay.
Yeah, because looking forward makes me sick. It's like it's one of the few games that when I'm playing, when I'm watching people play, sometimes that makes me sick, especially with first-person games. But this is actually the first game that I can remember that I actually was playing. That it was just, the motion is just like too much. I have to focus on the ball, otherwise I just get like motion sickness. Which is weird.
I enjoy it. Like, I like it, and I want to get better at it. But
yeah, you pretty much just got to play.
Yeah, it's just like I can tell, like, it's mostly just like in real life, developing some of that eye for how things are moving. You know, making sure you lead the ball a certain way, because it's kind of embarrassing when the ball's kind of still and you, or like moving very slowly, and you just like, I got a perfect shot for the goal and you just zoom right by it.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
just
just
whip
like,
it. Oh yeah,
that's pretty pathetic.
I
Or
still do that now.
you hit it and it just goes to the side. But um, anyway, yeah, I'm glad that I was finally kind of pushed into developing my Rocket League. And the other thing I had an eye towards was, like, of course, I knew you're a big fan of it. So if I start playing on the Switch, I'm sure that could potentially also be an E2KG game night type thing.
Yeah, we could always do the bots too. We don't have to play online. They have bots that you can play against, so that's kind of nice. And actually, you know what? That's what I used to play a lot before I even started going online. Was just the bots. So that's a good. I mean, if you have it on like super low setting for the bots, I mean, it's pretty easy. It's super easy. But as you go up, they actually start to ramp up, and it's not like a super hard curve. All of a sudden, they're doing like all these weird spins and stuff. It does ramp up for each level, so it's actually kind of nice.
I'm very much thinking about buying it for Steam and seeing how the computer, the PC controls affect it, and if it'll help or hurt. But the way things are here, like I've got a lot of kids, and if I have it on two devices, at least more people can play simultaneously too. So
yeah, I think is it cross-platform?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, because I think they have their own like Rocket ID or whatever they call it. Whatever Psyonix calls it, that they created. So, but yeah, I'm playing on Xbox too, and obviously it looks. Oddly enough, it does look better. I mean, you would figure they'd be able to make it fairly decent here on the Switch, but you can tell the difference when you play on something else. So that might be a thing too. It might just be the Switch's like frame rate or whatever. The resolution might be messing you up. So I can play it on either. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. So
that's like a golfer saying, "I'd be good if I just bought the more expensive clubs."
Well, it's just the motion too. Like. Yeah. I've noticed that I do miss a lot more. I'll miss the ball a lot more when I'm playing on the Switch. Like I swear I'm like right on it, but now I'm like going off to the side or something. So there might be something with that too. But yeah, I enjoy the game, and even though I don't have it on my list, I am still playing that. That's my as I like to call my Call of Duty game now, because that's what I always go back to that if I want to just play something, because the matches, even online, they're only like 10 minutes at the most usually, unless you go into overtime. But even then, it's only like a few minutes because it's for sudden death. What mode do you play? Just the normal 3-on-3? Because there's actually a bunch of different modes.
Yeah, I think generally when I play against, I played a little bit against the bots, but like 2-on-2, I think. But if 3-on-3 is, maybe I should start doing that if that's kind of like the primary online mode.
Yeah, that's usually the standard. They also have, when you go online, there's like different higher categories. So it's like casual, ranked, and then there's extra modes. So casual and ranked, those just have like 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. Casual one actually has another one, a fourth one, which is 4-on-4. So that one's pretty wild because there's you got 8 players, and some of those screens are pretty small, or those stadiums they put you in. But I think there's a couple of like 2 or 3 stadiums where they're fairly large, so they usually use those ones. But sometimes they'll throw you in just like one of the random little ones, and it's it's pretty chaotic, but it's kind of cool. And then extra modes have one is called drop shot, which is you have to hit the ground with the ball, so you kind of have to like either bounce it or kind of come from above and hit it, and it basically opens up that part of the ground. It's like all hexagons on the ground, so you open it up, and then if you get the ball in there, that's the goal, that's the score. Then they have it's basically hockey. It's just a hockey puck instead of a soccer ball. I forgot what that one's called. And then there is Rumble, which actually has power-ups, which is actually kind of cool. I found that one out just this past year, probably like 4, 5, 6 months ago. And I never knew what that mode was, and I picked it, I think, one day, actually by mistake, and it was actually pretty cool. I like that. I've been playing on that one a lot. And then I forgot what the fourth one is, but every once in a while too they'll have, because they do the seasons now, just because they have like the Rocket League Pass, which is like a battle pass or whatever for like Fortnite and stuff. Sometimes they'll throw like an extra mode in there. Sometimes it's just something goofy. Like the one time it was so during the Rumble, excuse me, during Rumble you get a power up where it's like you get spikes all over your ball, and basically the ball sticks onto you. It was just that mode. It was just like a spike mode or something. I forgot. I think that was during the summer. So they just do kind of special things like that, which is kind of cool. So actually really nice. So yeah, hopefully we can all play that. I would enjoy it. Have you had this game for a while and you just didn't play it, or
I've had it for like a good while.
Okay.
So
well, my next game is Pokemon Shield. Just kind of going through that. They actually just recently debuted the Pokemon Home, which is replacing the Pokemon Bank, where you can kind of store your Pokemon in the cloud. And for Pokemon Bank, you're able to get your Pokemon from like the older games, like the 3DS games, and I think even DS and stuff like that. So they finally did that. They have there's two different tiers for that. So there's a free version, and then there's a paid version you can do where you can, I forgot how many, it's like thousands of Pokemon that you can save for the premium, which is I think. Crap, I forgot how much it was now. 15 or 16, I think, a year or something like that, or maybe even that might even been a month. I forget. I'll have to look up the amounts here in a second. But and then there's a free version where you can only hold like I think like 30 Pokemon, and then you can still, I think even in the free version you can kind of move them from Sword and Shield, which are the newest games that just came out at the end of last year. Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee from last year, and then Pokemon Go, which is the mobile version. So, but I think Pokemon Go, I don't think that one's active yet. I think you have to. They're waiting for some reason. I don't know why, but you can't transfer anything yet. But the other two, or the other four, technically, you can transfer your Pokemon. So I started doing that. I think yesterday or the day before, it just got a release. So I was starting to kind of move things around.
So did you subscribe?
No, I'm not paying. I'm not paying that much for. I mean, if I was like a total fanatic and stuff, I mean, I do really like Shield. This is actually the first one. I think I have like 33 or 34 hours into the game right now. That's probably the most I've put into a Pokemon game. But I'm really enjoying this one. I think I mentioned this before, mostly because of the kind of multiplayer aspect. We can go into this, what they call the wild area. You can not really interact, but you can see like other players, and you can go into big battles, like basically raids, where there's just like a super powered Pokemon and you have to take him down. So it's kind of cool. So I've been doing that a lot. And what is there, 6 or 9 gym badges altogether? I think there's 9 that you got to get, or 8 or 9. I've only got 1 so far, so I've just been kind of trolling around doing the wild area and then just kind of powering up my Pokemon. So I mean, when I got to that first gym, I just kind of ripped through him, so because I was powering my Pokemon so much. So it's kind of nice. So yeah, Pokemon Shield. Never thought I'd be playing that much, but even Let's Go, I think I got Let's Go Pikachu, and I played that for a good amount, but I kind of just fell off of it, mostly because there's a lot of other stuff that year that came out. I think once again this year, or the end of last year, and even a little bit beginning of this year, there really hasn't been like anything I've been like super looking forward to. So that's kept me on this Pokemon Shield for a while. So it's good. We're gonna go back to the PC now with you, Swiss. What else are you playing?
All right. I did mention that this is kind of me playing a bunch of games that I already had, but I went back to Battletech, and that's the strategy, like the tactical strategy game. It's like a AA title from Paradox, and it was weird because like my son was like, "Hey, Dad," because usually when we play BattleTech, he likes to play with me, and we both kind of take turns like being in the control, but like it's a strategy game, so we can talk about what we're gonna do and everything. He likes that, so we get back in, and like 3 of our mech warriors are like injured and out of commission for like a month, and like half of our mechs that are available were like they needed to be refit, and like their arms missing and stuff. And I was like, what were we doing? What happened? And because it's been so long, but there wasn't a good way to look at the past story, or I didn't know how to find it. So I kind of Googled a walkthrough and was like, okay, I remember that mission, I remember that mission, I remember that mission. Oh yeah, we barely beat that one. And our mechs all survived and our warriors survived, but it was a close one. And so we spent a little time basically refitting the mechs. Now they're in the shop, so to speak. And we had to put the other guys in the hospital, and we recruited another player, like another mech warrior or two, so we'd have enough for a lance. And we're gonna do. We did another mission or two to. We got to build up some. We got to waste some time and build up some funds. So we took on some mercenary missions. But yeah, it's sometimes like. Oh, that's the game I forgot to put on here. I've been playing Octopath Traveler on the Switch.
Oh, nice.
But that game's nice because you go into the journal, and for each of the characters, they have like, whenever there's a story element that happens, like there'll be a lot of dialogue, but they'll have a summary of it. So, so and so went such and such, and discovered that the MacGuffin wasn't there, and decided to go. They had to go to the next town to find it. Like, it's not like I don't have to read through the dialogue. It's just like, these are the relevant points that happened, and you can keep track of it. So it's very easy for me to like, oh, okay, that's where I was working on, even if I dropped off that game for a while. So from the perspective of picking up a game in the middle of a campaign that you haven't touched in several months, like sometimes different developers can make it much easier or much more difficult for you. But I will say Battletech is super fun if you like if you're a nerd and like giant mechs and strategy. I'm into it. So even though it's one of the rare games that you fall off of, but I've come back to keep, it's just always there.
This is turn-based, right?
Yeah.
The gameplay? Okay.
So,
but I remember when you first started talking about it, I was like watching some videos. I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
it's kind of involved.
It's turn-based. Now, I think it just came out. There's another I think it's a different company. It's not Paradox, but they did Mech Warrior 5, and that's like the same sci-fi universe, but you're a pilot in a mech, and it's a shooter type, like vehicular shooter type thing.
Okay.
So it's a different. I don't know. I forget who.
Is that an Epic Store exclusive or no?
That's Epic exclusive, which is one of the reasons why I don't have it. So, the other being like I wanted it, but at the time I didn't really have time to play it, and it's like, I'm not going to sink $60 in the Epic Store. I'll wait for it to come out on Steam in a Steam sale in a year or two and enjoy it. So for now, I'm getting my Battle Mech fix with Battletech. So.
Got plenty to play.
Yeah.
Right now. All right. Can you now? Is that like you can super customize your mechs there, or is it just kind of? Can you not even customize anything?
Oh no, there's a lot of customization, but it's like, so there's the mechs that are in the universe. So like, for example, you start off with a oh rats, I can't remember the mech that you start off with. Like a blackjack, okay, and a blackjack is like a medium class, like medium weight mech, so it can handle 55 tons. Okay, so the mech itself will weigh a certain amount. The various you have like an arm, left torso, right torso, center torso, head, and legs, and each one of those places can hold things. So different mech frames can hold different things, like certain mechs can't. You just can't put like a large laser on every mech. Like if that doesn't support it, it doesn't support it. But you have a lot of customization where, like, on this particular mech, I can put a machine gun on the arm or a laser on the arm or whatever, and there might be multiple slots, and you can play around with it. However, you can't go over the tonnage of what the mech can handle. So certain things weigh more. So, like, I can't just take a dinky small laser and put a powerful large laser on, because the large laser is probably 5 or 6 times as heavy as a small laser. And so there's a little bit of, like, I guess, reality, physics, whatever you want to put in there, that involved. But like we've customized, we've swapped some of the stuff out and tweaked some of the mechs.
It's the old over encumbrance.
Yeah, I generally don't mess with it as much. Like, most of the mechs I got are the stock builds, and we may have swapped out like one weapon. That's about it.
Nice. All right. Well, that's kind of cool that the both of you can enjoy the game, play that game.
Yeah.
So my last game is Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore. And yes, that is the whole title.
It's literally called Sharp. That's what
it's Sharp.
It's not hashtag.
No, it's not hashtag. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, pounds? I was like, that's kind of weird, but I mean, it is kind of a Japanese game. So, but no, yeah, this is a couple of podcasts now that I've listened to, and that's how they pronounced it. So, I think actually even in the game, if I remember the this opening sequence, they mentioned that too. But
so this was originally a Wii U game.
Yes.
Okay.
Originally on the Wii U, ported over, or, well, I shouldn't say ported over, but remastered, I suppose you could say. I think there's some new content, if I remember correctly. I never played the original one, so I'm not really sure, but I believe there's some new content in this one.
It just came out, or the remake did. Yeah,
it came out last month. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is part of my, and I think I mentioned this a while ago actually. My kind of New Year's resolution, I guess you can call it, where I want to play at least one new game every month. So this was my pick for January, which kind of weird because it was between this and Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, but I chose this one just because Dragon Ball Z kind of just.
You know what's going to happen.
What's that?
That it's going to happen in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, they're just following the same story. That was one of the reasons. It's like, okay, it's the same thing, and I mean, yeah, I guess it's kind of more RPG-ish, supposedly, from what I read, and kind of open world, I guess, big areas, I suppose. So I was like, I'll probably just pick that on sale at some point. Plus, it wasn't on the Switch, so this was on Switch. So, and then it's not gonna be all Switch games, I should say, probably mostly. But I was just looking at my storage recently, and I'm starting to get full already on my SD card.
I need to get an SD card.
Yeah, I got like half a terabyte SD card now. I almost filled this thing already. So, or I just got to get rid of some stuff because a lot of stuff I don't play. So
this is an aside, but from what I read, like transferring from one SD card to another, they make it annoying. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I did it once. I think I had I think it was a 200 gig, and I got the 500 gig on sale on both of them on Amazon. And then I had to transfer. So basically, I had to copy the folders from the SD card onto a PC, and then just transfer to the recopy and paste. So kind of annoying, but
I mean, it's not bad, but it's annoying. Like you said, it's annoying. It's more cumbersome than I would have wanted, but whatever.
Just said, hey, like upload it to this. Well, I guess you can't upload it to the system.
Yeah, that's a lot. But maybe I'm being too crabby about it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail you from Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
No, that's all right. So, I guess this is something they call an idle game, which I never heard of until I started playing this game. Excuse me. And I was kind of reading up on it. I'm trying to think how, so I don't like spoil stuff, even though it is a remake. But you're part of this group of kids or like young adults that are fighting what they call mirages, and you have a mirage on your side too. And in this case, they're Fire Emblem characters, or at least the two so far that I've seen. And I didn't. I've only played a little bit of Fire Emblem games here and there, so I mean I don't recognize the names, but I just I just know that just from reading up on the game. Um, and so you're basically looking for this one of the kids, one of the young adults' sister. So you're kind of going through not really an open world. There's kind of somewhat large areas where you can kind of explore a little bit. So far that I've seen, I'm pretty early in the game still, but and it's turn-based gameplay for the most part when you're actually fighting the different enemies, which is fine. I'm starting to get used to that. I mean, I wasn't. You know, I've said that in the past that I wasn't too keen on that, but now I'm starting to actually. I don't mind it so much now. So you got your basic attack, defend, or magic, and those kind of choices when it's your turn. So, and I guess the big thing with this game is you can kind of like set up combos where like you do one attack and then one or two of the other players hits kind of goes right away, like right after one after another instead of waiting for their turn. So and then you can't do that with every attack, just there's special ones. So I'm still trying to figure out like which ones are which. It's more of just memory of playing the game. Like I don't know if there's like an actual like symbol or something that I can tell on the screen. I haven't really noticed anything, but so I've been doing that. It's pretty fun though. It's very anime game, and actually they do have anime cut scenes in between like some of the story. When you're kind of going through the story, which is kind of cool. It's very very well done anime. It's not just some cheap looking animation. So it's actually I kind of like that. I've always said I like cutscenes, and especially when it's animated. I like animated cutscenes, and for a lot of people or some people, I guess they say it draws them out of the game, but I kind of just after going to battle, especially if it's like a lot of enemies right in a row, it's like just kind of sitting there and just watching something's kind of nice for me at least, just to kind of relax for a second.
Well, I mean, it's an RPG, right? So
yeah,
there's a level of story. So whether you're getting it through a cutscene or I'd rather get it through a cutscene than read a sea of text. You know what I mean?
Or look through Grimoire cards.
Yeah.
Online. Although I'm sure they're a lot better with that. Destiny now though. On Destiny. But no, yeah, I mean, the story itself isn't like super involved right now, at least.
How far are you?
I wouldn't even, maybe a third through the game, probably not even really that. So I've been kind of playing it off and on, just because I've been kind of busy lately, especially this past few weeks. But you only start out with the one person, and then I've built up the three right now. I might have had four at one point. There's kind of just people coming and going, so it's kind of hard to keep track of people sometimes. But for right now, I only have like the one Mirage, which is basically when you go into these like portals, that's when you can like become this other character. I only have one of those so far for each player. I don't know if there's like multiple you can get at some point or not. I'm assuming there are, but haven't seen any of that. But so basically, you level up that guy too as you're playing. And you can get different attacks and special attacks and magic and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. I kind of like it. I'm really enjoying it. This month, it's pretty slim pickings. This month again for my new game. I think I'm probably going to go with Rune Factory 4 Special, which is actually this happens to be another Switch game, but just because I didn't really see anything else out. There's one other one I thought I was going to go for. I can't remember what it was right now, but that's probably what I'm going to do. That's basically another RPG. I think that's more of a one I'm reading, kind of like a Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, just kind of.
Wait, when does Animal Crossing come out? That's March.
That's next month. Yeah, that's for sure. I'm going to buy that one for that month. So
yeah,
I'll try to go for like smaller ones if there's really nothing too big at the time. But like this one, I've heard of this game, and I guess it's pretty popular, these Rune Factory games. But so we'll see how that one goes. That one, just from the cover, looks very anime, but it looks like I thought it was more like Animal Crossing and stuff. But when I was looking at the video, it looks like there's a lot of fighting too. Like, so I don't know, might be a little bit of everything in this one.
Yeah, I've never played any of those. I'm trying to look at a release schedule right now.
Yeah, at least for the Switch, it's not. There's not like too much going on this month.
Yeah.
I didn't really check on the Xbox too much, but I'm waiting for the Outer Worlds for the Switch, which technically I can play right now on the Xbox because
Right.
it's on Game Pass. But I wanted to wait for it to come out on Switch. So
All right. Let's just jump from there because you mentioned Games Pass,
yes,
and that's what you kind of hinted at for the next Fix Plays assignment.
yeah. So kind of drawing from our the year discussions and kind of the decade that was 2010 to 19. We had talked about like game services being more prevalent as the decade went on. So things like like the Game Pass and just Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, Nintendo, I guess online to a smaller degree, and just other kind of services like that. So I wanted to pick a game from one of those services that we haven't played yet, and play one of those to report out for the next Picks Plays. I'm not sure. I'll probably go. Obviously, I'm going to go with Game Pass because I got that, and there's a ton of games on there that I haven't played, so it's going to be kind of a hard pick, but I'm sure I'll find something on there. Did you have any thoughts on what you might pick?
I'm actually like not really a service subscriber much. I had the Games Pass for PC for a while just because of it came with my new CPU that I got. But they were doing like a promotion with Ryzen. But right now it's like $1 to do like Ultimate or something for a
Oh
month.
yeah,
I guess like
yeah.
an
If you sign
intro.
up,
Yeah, so hopefully that'll still work for me at the dollar. Otherwise, I'll just pay the $5 and sign up for a month for the PC Games Pass.
yeah,
Because I mean, yeah, I'll pay like for a month to try something out. If you think back in the day, you're paying like $3 for an N64 cartridge at Blockbuster, right? You only got that for a
yeah, for the
weekend.
rentals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's probably going to be. It's not going to be PlayStation Plus. It's going to be Xbox Game Pass for PC. And I was looking at some of the games earlier today, and I'm not too sure what I'm going to do yet. There's a maybe the I don't know if the Ori and the Blind Forest is still on Xbox Games Pass.
I think, as far as I know, it is.
So
'Cause I know it's kind of. I
maybe
mean, that's a first party game, so
maybe that one, maybe a racing game. I don't
yeah.
know.
There's tons of Forzas and or Forzas.
But I hate
however you want to say
open
it.
world racing games, so I gotta make sure I pick the
There's
right
other games
one.
on there too. I think there's some dirt ones. I don't know if you like the off track. Those kind of. I know. I guess because like those ones, the dirt series. I think there's some of those on there, or one of those at least.
So, but yeah, that'll be fine. And
It,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, and it can be from any service. It doesn't have to be, Game Pass.
Well, no, it's just
PSN
it's
or
very
anything like that.
easy to do it off Game Pass, and for me, like with PSN, I don't know. Like I'm becoming less and less of a PlayStation gamer. Like I like some of the action adventure stuff on a PS4, but I'd much rather play on the PC at this point now.
Yeah. No, I mean maybe.
And
soon
the
they'll
Switch
have some
doesn't.
of their-
Well, what does the Switch have? Oh, I could go back and play like. Could I play like a Nintendo Online, like old school Super
Yeah,
Nintendo
what else?
game?
Hey,
Port?
that's
I guess
play
that could
Tetris
work too.
99. I don't know if you tried that one.
I did. I didn't like it,
Yeah.
but maybe. Yeah, it's probably going to be PC. It's either going to be Nintendo Online, which is going to be like a game from 1994,
Super
or
Nintendo game or something.
Xbox Game Pass for PC. And it's probably going to be the latter.
Okay. Speaking of which, I think they just either they are or they just released some new games on Super Nintendo. I think a couple of games. I don't know if it was the Super Nintendo ones or the NES ones that I guess there were games that had never been released in the U.S. before or the West. So this would be interesting.
It's kind of annoying that they did that like right after they did like the SNES Classic. They kind of came out with that stuff, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, here it is on the Switch."
Yeah. Well, they waited a year, at least a year,
Yeah,
before they did the SNES ones.
but
I don't know. I think this is only like the second release of SNES games that I remember hearing about. I mean, usually I'll see them on Twitter or something if when they release stuff, but I don't remember seeing anything since that first batch of. Well, I think they released like
they were doing
20.
it on a fairly regular schedule, and it seems like they've slowed down.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know when the SNES ones came out, they said they were going to stop doing the monthly ones, the monthly releases, but they haven't. I don't think they released anything else since this past week. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. What's going on over there? Uh, oh, and also on another side here, or to go back to my Pokemon home discussion, it is $16 a year for that service. But still, it's like I know that's not a lot of money, but I don't know. It's not worth it. I don't think, at least not for me. I know there's a lot of people out there that they do all the like the grinding for different kind of Pokemon and like the best stats, and they do all the breeding stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not. I probably won't get too deep into it to do that. So I think just having 30, being able to do 30 a month or whatever, or 30 altogether was fine for me. If I find something special, I'll just throw it up there. So,
Yeah, and if your Switch dies, you won't lose the coolest Pokemon you have.
yeah, I can save them up there. So yeah, that's what I was when I went in there and I was able to connect Let's Go Pikachu. I was just grabbing like the most powerful ones I had so I can bring them into the new game. I'll just rip through everybody, all those gym leaders. So it should be fun. I think that's it. I think we're done for tonight. This has been episode number 130. Next week, we do our deep dive episode where we go through the new gaming news from the past week or two and try to maybe kind of build a theme around some news stories, or just kind of dive deep down into one story and try to pick it apart or so. Not really pick it apart, but just kind of talk about it a little bit more in depth. So we'll do that. We finally got our second half of the our kind of end of the year talk, as I had mentioned before, with the decade that was. So I think
that was a good episode.
Did he? Pretty sure he put that up already. So that should be up there. Check out YouTube for Enough to Keep Going E2KG Network. You can check us out there, and also on SoundCloud if you want to just listen to us and listen to our past episodes. Any other last words, Mr. Swiss?
Nope. I think that'll do it for tonight.
Yeah, we actually went through I think we went over an hour. Actually, I was surprised.
Yeah.
Because of the games I had, it was kind of rough this year or this week. I mean, with the games, because I haven't really played all that much. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite, like I said, because of that Discord channel. So it's nice to have a solid group of people to play it with, regularly. So that's nice. So yeah,
All right.
Keep practicing on Rocket League.
Yep.
And for Swiss, I am Osiris Prime, and we will see you next time. Good night.